Moriarty isn't here. So there'll have to be a motion on somebody, one of the alternates to fill in. There's Mr. Phipher, Mr. Giack, and Mr. Moriarty.
We have Steve Garrett's sitting tonight.
A motion?
That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to have Mr. Giack sit in as,
Garrett.
sorry,
Right.
Mr. Garrett
fine.
sit in on the board.
I see two numbers.
Does everybody have a copy of the minutes?
We have to-
All in favor, say aye. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, since our chairman is no longer on board, we need to elect a new chairman.
Move to elect Jane Slater as chair.
Second.
I'm sorry, Jane Slater as chair.
It's been, motion's been made, Jane Slater is chair, and it's been seconded. Any other motions for anyone?
Is there anybody else interested in the chair? No? No. Just asking, if not somebody else was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jane Slater being chair? Okay. No? Now we'll approve the minutes.
Move we accept the minutes, November 9th, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Yeah, you're abstaining, right. Gary, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, fireman, you're on.
It's actually the Board of Education before us.
Not according to mine.
Yeah, they are.
Emergency Services Commission
Hold
first.
on, you have to fill a vacancy first.
We did.
No, we don't fill the vacancy on the board tonight. We
No,
have to have a special
that'll be
meeting.
next meeting.
Okay, so even though it's on here, it's not part of it, right,
No, that was a revised agenda.
okay.
Board of Education's on there.
Did you need the
This is the
new one?
number 5.
I don't even have one. Oh, I have the revised, okay. I'm sorry. So the Board of Education on their capital financing of the phone system. Is anyone here from the Board of Ed?
Their meeting was at 6:30 tonight, the Board of Education, so I'm not sure if we wanted to just move that later in the meeting.
I think that should be moved to the end of the meeting, or,
Yes.
okay. So now the next is the
We're on
emergency.
anyways.
So I told you were on next.
There you go.
Okay, the Emergency Services Commission.
So on November 9th, when we had come to your meeting, you needed more information on the purchasing of the 2 fire apparatus, which we sent out. So we wanted to go over that tonight and answer any questions, and then have the board move forward with this. Did you get the information? Because we had sent it out.
Well, it was a schematic of the truck, and it was
Right, and the
kit
pricing,
purchase.
and Lisa had gotten the,
Do you have a copy?
yep, you can still get this.
Oh, do you have a copy?
Do you have a copy?
Do you have a copy of what it came through?
This is all the pages. I
Yeah.
don't have many copies of
Yeah, I got
it.
it.
If you just want,
I
I
didn't
forwarded
even
it
print
to
it
you
out.
through the email. Everybody got it, yes.
Yeah, I looked at it, but I didn't print it out because my
But if
printer's
you wanted to
giving
look
it to me.
at it, this is,
Was there
I wasn't
anything,
gonna push that out for everybody.
was there anything you, Lori, besides what you emailed the other day?
No,
Okay.
that was what I
I
had.
went through what Lori sent the other day, and one was, I don't know, 12,042 page document about the specs for one of the trucks, and being exaggerating, but a lot of pages. And all it was a PDF, and it had to the right of it what's required. And then there was check marks for if it, the bid for the new truck would be, based upon that or not.
Yes,
In other words,
that's the RQ for that truck.
Okay,
That's what
but
everybody
it
would be
wasn't completed. And in the PDFs, there was one there was one thing that had a price of one of the trucks, but there was no other bid for the other truck.
No, we're not bidding it out until we know the price. They're giving us ballpark prices, and that's the three prices that Natalie had. The highest being 810, and the lowest being 770 right now.
So you haven't quoted it yet?
I'm not quoting it, having anything permanently quoted until I have permission. These are all approximations to bid, because when we go, we're gonna try to sharpen our pencils and see what we can do, but that, I have to come to you with a number.
Are these three different vendors?
Three different vendors.
Okay.
For the benefit of myself, because I didn't read the email, so, and for the folks that here, that may not know what's going on,
They
but
know.
here to listen, can you just summarize what we're doing, and whether we're buying, or for lease purchase, and what we're buying, and whether it's lease purchase?
Well, there's two apparatus that are being requested. There is a multi-rescue vehicle and a 3,000-gallon tanker. And my understanding is the decision to lease or purchase is up to the Board of Finance and to the town. Now, we don't make that decision. You asked that we were requested to come back with the proposals, which we sent out, and then with the pricing, so that you could look at the different pricing and the leasing, which I believe Lisa has provided. Is that leasing or is that purchase?
That's, well, it's lease purchase.
Lease
I don't know
purchase.
that they had that same copy.
Okay, so she had sent, do you wanna, you want copies of that?
Can we make copies of it? I don't know.
I've never seen it.
So she had given us the pricing on leasing, doing the lease purchase for the two apparatus. So the purpose of tonight is to go over the proposals and answer any questions that you may have, and see if the board is going to move forward with the recommendation of purchasing these, because I believe it needs to go to a town, it may need to go to a town meeting documents.
Would it be helpful if the representatives just gave a quick overview of the
Yes,
request?
tremendously helpful.
That's what I'm asking for.
Do you wanna,
Doesn't matter.
let's go first?
I'll go. Do you have these copies at all?
No, but if you can just
Yeah.
briefly summarize
All
what
right.
you have, okay?
Basically, this is the truck that's listed for roughly $800,000.
It's the multi-purpose.
It's a multi-purpose rescue vehicle. Reason we're going this way, it's a higher priced truck. Quite frankly, we figure it's probably gonna be the last truck we see purchased for a long time. What this truck is designed to do is right now, if we have a car wreck or some kind of major incident, we have to roll two pieces of apparatus, which means double the fuel, and I have to have two drivers. We're hoping with this truck can roll, and quite frankly, as long as there's manpower with it, that's the only truck we'll probably have to roll right away. Because first of all, it's a big toolbox, because it'll be replacing the rescue, so it'll have all the different tools we need, plus confined space, which we've been asked to look into, because I don't know if it got written up for OSHA, but a couple of the town businesses, like the water filtration plant and Kuno and that, they have confined space, and they're not providing the rescue, and the fire department's supposed to. So we have guys that are trained, but we don't have the equipment, nor do we have the apparatus to carry that on.
Do you have the personnel trained?
We have two right now, and we have more that are gonna, but we're not gonna invest into the training if we are not gonna have a vehicle or be able to carry it. So right now, the town has to contract out, so you're paying a lot of money to contract out. That's just one small piece of it. The second piece, again, is the rescue, but now it'll also carry water, 1,000 gallons of water. We just went through an ISO recertification, and I'm really happy to say the Staffordville District and Borough section that I have, we achieved the highest ISO rating ever. I contacted as many businesses as I can, insurance rate should have been dropped. We have a 5 and a 5Y. How we did that is I guaranteed mutual aid with manpower, and I'm guaranteeing when an alarm goes off of any kind of fire alarm, we've got 4,000 gallons of water rolling. So this will help embellish the gallonage, so maybe we can release some of the mutual aid, because right now I have to assure I have 4,000 gallons at all time. So it's a fire truck, it's a rescue truck, it'll have a light tower on it for any lighting, it'll have swift water and confined space, it has the Hearst tool on it, it's, again, a big toolbox. It would be one truck, and again, I could roll it once. That's basically the description. The other feature, why it's so high, is it also, the truck we're getting rid of has a cascade system on it for air. This truck, because it's a fire truck, it's a little bit difficult to put the cascade system on it, because the bottles end up going up high. So they have to put what's called a lifetime bottle. They're a little more expensive, because the bottles never come off the truck. The bottles are required to be tested every year, but the lifetime bottles don't have to. So we have to hide those bottles in the chassis. That's one of the reasons why the truck gets pricey. So it'll do,
So the equipment that you've got on a truck now that you wanna get rid of cannot be transferred to the new
the
vehicle?
Hearst tool will be, but the Cascade system we will sell with the truck, because those bottles have to come off every
And
6
this
years.
new truck will have all new equipment on it?
It will have the new Cascade system, new light tower, it'll have the original Hearst tool system that's on this.
Okay,
There is some new hose and stuff, it'll probably come in ladders, because we don't have ladders on this truck, because it's a fire truck.
okay, I was on the board when you sold the truck to Wales.
Yep.
You sold the newer truck, but you kept the older truck, which is the one you've got now and you wanna get rid of?
Correct.
Did you explain why you sold the newer one and kept an older one and now you wanna replace the older one?
Because this truck was due to be replaced next anyway. That truck there, we had a chance to make what we paid for that truck, we probably will never get that opportunity. This truck, when we sell it, we're gonna be very lucky if we can get 35,000, and that's a high quote. We'll be lucky if this doesn't end up going to Joe's service shop, become a service truck, and lower it. But that style truck is not gonna benefit, if I had taken that truck, I still would've had to roll 2 trucks. My plan is to roll 1 truck, and then eventually with the next truck purchase, I'm also gonna hope for a tanker that puts Stafford over the top in the non-hydro districts. Because with this new truck, if we get it, and then a future tanker, that's 4,000 gallons with 2 trucks, I plan on getting rid of a truck, so I'm gonna downsize.
Okay,
So that's, any questions on the truck?
Sure. What's the cost?
It goes from 810, that being one of the highest quotes right now, down to 770. But we haven't sharpened our pencil yet. I mean, we haven't said, well, maybe we can do without this, or maybe we change that. I went to the fire chief shows, and I said, what's that cost? Give it to me, and I took that spec, and I said, you two give me the same amount, what's it gonna cost for me? So those are 3 identical trucks, and of course, they're different. The other thing you gotta know is after January, all of them told me they're gonna go up some percentage, between 20 and 30%. So that price is only 30 days. It's gonna take 290 to 300 days, so you won't even be looking at this truck or paying for this truck till after 300 days of approval. So you're not probably gonna even look at this price till 2017, maybe the first payment.
Lisa, how do we pay for this?
Lease purchase, we couldn't make enough copies for everyone, so if someone could give 1 to Ted. I broke it down into 2 different vehicles, and pay it off in 10 years.
So, one's 800,000, rate 2.27%,
And it depends on whether we pay in advance or arrears.
for a 10-year period, okay.
mhm.
I have all the faith that we're gonna be below 800, but like I said, that's one bid, that's the Smeal, if you get to look at the package.
So we're gonna approve this now, it's gonna be approved by the town now for payments starting and budgeted, it'll be budgeted for the 2016-17 year, is that how we work it?
I would think you'd have to go to a town meeting,
Okay.
first of all. And then if you're going to do that, I would think you'd have to put some money down to order it.
I don't know, but I think it's not until
I would
it's
think we'd
delivered.
have to get the
I
money.
think chassis money, if anything, we'd have to check.
I would think we would have to get it, once the town approves it, we go ahead with the lease, have the money in our hands so we can put the down payment, and then pay it when it's presented.
I have more information, but I just wanna wait till Chief Lonzetti gets to do his.
So where do we get the funds to do that, seeing that's not budgeted for this year, that's my question.
Well, we would have to budget the payment in the year that we would make it. So if we were gonna have to order it this
So
year,
that would have to be budgeted.
Right, it would have to be
July,
budgeted that first
you would
payment,
budget for this year.
correct. If we made it in advance, if we made it in arrears, you would budget it for next year.
Can I just ask a couple of questions, because
Sure.
I'm not familiar with my first name? What is the Hearst tool?
That's the jaws of life.
You've done Ted this well.
Okay.
And that's coming up, under, I can't remember how many years, but under Selectman Kroll, that was all updated, so we're not gonna go out and purchase $33,000 worth of, brand new equipment, because we have new reels, new hose, new cutters and all that. That'll go to the factory, be taken off the old truck, and put on the new truck.
Okay. Has this hybrid truck been around a long time?
Yes, there's quite a few around, it's quite similar to the one we purchased, how old's your squad?
2005,
It's quite similar to
Oh, they're
this.
using the same kind of equipment?
Same concept.
Work good and
and
so
it
forth?
has worked very well.
Summers just purchased 2 of them,
Okay.
and Shaker Pines, which this one is modeled after, they purchased one right from the chief show 2 years ago, so.
Crystal Lake has one.
Crystal Lake has one. The big box rescues, like Wales just bought, they're kinda going by the wayside because they're one-dimensional, and with the amount of manpower, and if you're only gonna get one truck out, we wanna make sure we get the best bang for the residents.
And we have garage space to store it in?
When the old rescue goes, it'll go there.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting rid of a truck, we're not holding on to anything.
So we're gonna get some kind of trade?
I would hope to either trade it in or probably sell it outright, we'll get the most money. I'm hoping,
Our
like
cost, our net cost is gonna be something less than what we're talking about now.
I'm hoping if I can get the full 35, yeah. Unless we break it up and try to sell a Cascade system separately and the truck separately.
Is there even a market for that?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yep, when I wanted to sell, when we sold the Wales truck, I had two people that were willing to buy it then. I probably could have got 35 then, but I can't go without a rescue truck.
$1,000-gallon tanker.
Yeah, the tanker?
Can I just ask one question of the chair? This is part of the town budget, the selectmen's budget, right? The money will come under that
Under that heading, yes.
town side of the budget. Now, that's already committed, and we've already voted for the total for the year, right?
Correct, that's why this is going to be done, if it's approved, it will be in the next budget.
Okay, where does
Well, we're gonna need some money
the
this
one meeting come, the one payment come from, the chassis fee or whatever it would be?
And there is an excellent question. The one payment for the chassis is gonna have to come out of this budget this year, correct?
We don't know, because the
If
backlog.
if you get the quote, if you get the permission, you agree to a quote from a
Right.
vendor,
Right,
and at that point, you're telling us you have to pay for the chassis.
no, I don't believe, no, that's not true. Because it's gonna take, we're gonna have to put the RFQ back out and let everybody bid on this thing solid now. We'll have to sit down, and if we deduct anything to try to lower it, we got
When this
everybody.
whole thing comes together,
Right,
we have to pay for the chassis.
I have to
No,
ask
it's
that
gonna be
question, I'm not,
Lease purchase.
it's a lease
Lease
purchase.
purchase, right, but I thought he said before that,
I thought you said we need one payment.
right.
No, she asked, she was asking, I
If
said,
you
I
do
don't
the
know.
advance, you get the money and you pay that same year. If you do the arrears, you would get the money and you would pay the year later. So if we got the money now, you would pay next year in next year's budget,
Okay.
that first lease.
Permission to
payment.
address
If you
the
do
chair?
arrears.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Past history, when we've been purchasing apparatus, normally what happens is, we, over the last couple of purchases, received a significantly steep discount by paying for the piece up front. You have probably three options. You have order it and pay on delivery. You can prepay the chassis portion and get somewhat of a discount. Or, excuse me, pay for the whole thing up front and get a steeper discount. That's usually what our experience is.
I believe the payments, the way they've been quoting them, is cash on delivery. That's why they're so high, that's why I'm hoping to go back and find this, but I can't tell them whether we're lease purchasing or we're buying outright yet until we have a vote.
They will get cash on delivery though, correct? On a lease purchase, we're gonna give them a check when it's delivered.
Right,
We're just making payments to the leasing company.
right,
So either way, we're paying for it on delivery.
right.
So that won't change that quote. I mean, it's not like we're asking them to finance it or hold everything, we're paying for it.
We've never lease purchased any apparatus, so I can't speak to that, what that would be.
And the difference between the advance and the arrears payment, seems to be a small amount considerably, considering.
Correct, yeah, it changes the interest rate and the payment
Yeah,
changes.
it's a difference of what, about $10,000 over a 10-year lease. So if we were to move this ahead and do that, there's no way this could appear in this year's budget anyway. You know, it would just be something that'd be budgeted into the next
Correct.
budget year.
You
We
could do
wouldn't
it
have to
that
make a
way.
payment out this year.
Correct, we could do it that way.
There is one other discount available, but like I said, I wanna wait until Chief Lonzetti gives his tanker, because it would involve his truck also.
As you may or may not be aware, we've had a truck committee working for probably the last 18 to 24 months. Part of that procedure was to do a needs assessment. And if you take an inventory of apparatus currently in our fleet and within the town, we have what I believe and the committee believe to be a sufficient amount of pumping engines. What we're lacking is a dedicated water supply piece of apparatus. And Chief Lucia alluded to some of that with his ISO rating. So based on that needs assessment, the truck committee came to consensus that a water supply apparatus was probably going to, or definitely going to, better suit the town of Stafford and its needs, because a large percentage of our area is non-hydrogen, as everybody I'm sure is aware. This 3,000 gallon tanker is a dedicated water supply apparatus. It's not going to take on the role of an attack piece of apparatus. It's not going to carry a hose load. It's purely a water hauler, pretty much. It has a couple of pre-connected lines on it, so you could use those. It has a much more limited water compartment space than the engine tanks or the engines that we're currently running. It's a departure from the norm in our fleet in that it's a commercial chassis, off-the-shelf commercial chassis, with an elliptical tank on the back, and if you are old enough to remember milk tankers, it kind of resembles those. This has evolved into a very successful program in Talon County with this type of vehicle, and numerous towns around us are using this concept very successfully in moving large amounts of water very quickly. And to name a few is Talon, they have 2 of these vehicles. Summers has 2 tankers, Ellington, Willington Hill, and I believe down into the Columbia area down that way. What it would do, and the chief is correct, in that ISO has recommended, as you heard, 4,000 gallons of water on the initial response. Between the 2 of us, we do that now, and we certainly would be able to do the job better. The mission of that truck on a structure fire call would be to go to the scene, drop a portable tank that's carried on the truck, drop its load, and then go for water, and start hauling water back and forth. What I normally would do at that point is call for tankers from other surrounding towns, and you set up a tanker shuttle so that you have an uninterrupted supply of water. Talon County is very good at moving large amounts of water very quickly. We looked at a bunch of these various different tankers, and the one that's in the packet that you received is a truck made by a company called Four Guys. Summers Fire Department's last tanker was made by Four Guys. What we did is extensively studied the piece, and with very few changes, one of them being the size of the engine, basically mimicked their spec. And if we mimic their spec, there's a savings there. If we happen to go with that vendor, and I certainly hope we could, in that you wouldn't pay engineering costs. It's like, build me another one of these. Found the build quality to be extremely high quality. The dealer support is good, and it's pretty much off-the-shelf parts. The price on a tanker, Summers paid, I believe, the last number that I got was $348,000 for that tanker. A new pumping engine, 1,000-gallon tank with a 1,250 or 1,500 gallon pump, without a whole lot of bells and whistles on it right now, was going for around $500,000. So it's significantly less than replacing an engine tank with an engine tank. We had also studied that. The rest of the plan regarding the 1989 truck, and this was also brought up in our ISO, was that the town doesn't have any quote-unquote spare apparatus. The cost to maintain that piece as a spare piece of apparatus, which would be available not only to us but to Staffordville as well, is minimal, because it would just require a yearly pump test and regular, routine maintenance. So that if Chief Lucia was to lose an engine, say the one in the downtown station, he could take that truck, put it down there, and run it until his came back. Same thing in the Staffordville house, or in our fleet as well. And we get some ISO credit points for having a piece of spare apparatus.
470,000,
I'm sorry?
470,000?
348, and I believe in the cover letter that I gave you, because it's probably gonna be a year, I factored in, I believe, 10%, if it was to be delayed a year, and that figure would be 382,000.
So what are you gonna go to the town with, 348 or 382?
Excuse me?
348, you want to the town meeting?
348.
Well, we'll go for 348 at the town meeting, but there has to be an understanding that the price may, probably, likely will increase by that 10% if you go out a year.
When you say go out a year, you mean wait a year to
apparatus typically appreciates 6 to 10% a year. I believe the last piece that we bought, which was the squad that we talked about earlier, the combined piece, when we first started spec'ing it, that truck was around $380,000. And it was several years before we were finally approved to buy it, and when it came in, it was $540,000, I believe.
So at the time you order, you're locking in the price.
Correct.
So how much time do we have, my question is, I'd say the 348. How much time do we have from now to use that price?
90 days
90
standard.
days? Okay.
What's the delivery date on that?
Delivery date would be considerably shorter than a custom piece of apparatus. I'm guessing 6 months.
And are you telling us that you really don't wanna go for quotes because you like this one company, or are you gonna go for quotes?
Well, I really like the company, but the last time that we went through a piece of apparatus purchase, the vendors were getting sick of talking to me for quotes, because it was like, we asked for an RFP, and then there was a delay. And the RFPs ran out, then there was another delay, and the RFPs ran out. And to be quite candid, it was like, are you guys gonna make up your mind, you're gonna buy a piece of apparatus or not? You keep asking these guys to give you bids. We certainly are not adverse to going out with an RFP, but we do like this particular vendor.
And what do you have to put for a deposit on it? The reason I'm asking that is, you know, one step of this process would be for the budget for next year. You get the town approval, it goes in the budget for next year. But the second piece of it is, if you need a deposit, we need to do in this year's budget. So how do we do that, and how much do you think it's gonna be?
There was no talk of a deposit on the truck. You said you contract it, and you pay for it on delivery, or pay your lease on delivery.
Now, from the last meeting, and I just wanna bring this point up, and the tanker he's talking about, it's beautiful, poor guys. I myself, if I could get a tanker, that's probably what I would steer from. But one of the vendors that I have, which is the SMEAL, is what's called the USA, or US tanker representative. And he did say if we did a truck purchase, we probably could get it cheaper, both of us. But that's up to, you know, I'm willing to do that. That's my more expensive truck. So I don't know what it would be for Joe, but he would work out a deal because we could do a 2-truck purchase, and that would bring it down. But that's up to Chief Lonzetti and his members. But I did look into that. That's the only vendor, because the other 2 vendors I have, Marion really doesn't make a tanker, and Ferrara, they have a tanker, but I don't think it's anything these guys would be interested in. USA or US tanker and 4 Guys, and I think there's one of the Fouts brothers or something, probably the best in the area. 4 Guys is outstanding. I mean, I was at Summers the other day and looked at it. It's a very nice piece of unit.
Yeah, I'll move that we send, well, first of all, I wanna compliment the 2 teams for working as a team. I've been on the board for about 3 years now, and it's gradually coming together, so I'm really impressed with the teamwork. I'm gonna propose, make a motion that we move this to a town meeting for the purchase of these 2 trucks under a lease purchase. You recommend an advance lease, advance payment?
Well, the arrears if you want it in next year's budget.
Okay.
If you wanted to get the money up front and then we would make the first payment next year.
Wouldn't it still be in this year's budget by the time you say, you're talking 6 months for the one,
Well,
or close?
Right, it'll be close.
All right, I guess we don't have to say that, we'll lease purchase,
I will make the calls tomorrow and find out what they need
lease
to purchase.
purchase. I also recommend when we finally get to the town meeting, you have it locked in, with good bids, and you know where you're going with it and why.
Just need that date, because I'll get him to hold that number.
And if it were possible to make the purchases, you know, from the same vendor, and you could save money, that would be important, because you know, a lot of taxpayers are complaining about really being strung out at this point.
Well,
I understand.
What I suggest you do there is get an individual quote for each piece, and a combined quote for the 2 pieces, so that the teams can make a final decision as to what's best for the town.
Okay?
Can I just ask one question before you leave?
Sure.
There's a lot of new building going on, you know, stores going up, the various dollar stores, and then the elderly housing project that's gonna be built behind the big Y. If these trucks are purchased, will you have enough equipment to deal with any emergency at any of those sites? It wouldn't be a matter of coming back in a year and saying we need to get X or.
No, the only, next time you see me is when it was time to replace one of the other ones, because of age.
We should be sufficient.
Yeah.
We should be sufficient.
Now, the only thing, and I don't know, you bring up a good point, and I don't know if Chief Lanzetti wants to pursue that. It might be too late, but that elderly complex, when they went after federal money, there was money usually available that they could have went after for, I know Alex was talking about an ambulance, but they should have taken care of fire protection too, if we asked. But I think we always forget to ask, because we don't, Joey and myself don't get pulled into those meetings or notified, because we would ask.
Yeah, that would've been tremendous.
Yeah, considering we run to the current complex, I don't know how many times a week.
Oh, yeah.
2 times a night.
And that being that remote, no water line there yet,
They're online, too.
no water line up there. If that elderly complex went down, things like a tanker that could go up and take care of a water supply, because it'll be it's stainless steel, right, Joe?
It's a poly tank.
Poly tank, but I mean,
So,
if you had
yes.
to get water up there to flush the toilets because something went wrong, that, you know, it's a multi-piece beneficial truck like that
Oh, okay.
for disaster.
This we put on the end of release, also lease purchase?
That's what they're going on,
Well, yeah, I was letting more discussion go on. Motion has been made, but we need a second.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. I'm sorry? I agree. Is there any other discussion? Is there more discussion before we vote?
Any questions, please call.
I trust the people that are here, and you made a good
Well, I just have a question, if we do it in arrears, I guess it's about $20,000 more, from what I see here, is that correct?
well, between the two of them, yeah.
Yeah. Does it make
But
sense?
it sounds like the price is less. I got $470 from the last meeting, and it's only $348, so we'll probably save that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go after hard numbers now.
But I think we can rely on Lisa to decide whether it's in arrears or in advance, depending upon when we're gonna get it,
Right.
and what works best for the town.
Yeah, if it was large, I'll let you know.
Right.
Different.
But interest rates are supposed to go up, so.
Once they have hard figures,
So
I'll
we
get
move on
hard
this, the
figures.
better off we might be.
Absolutely.
And chances are, if we don't have to pay till delivery, we can do it in advance and still be in next year's budget.
Right.
The only other question I had, and Lisa,
Correct.
you can answer this, is I didn't know when we started talking about this under the past regime, there was also talk of a bond. Would that be cheaper or more money if we bonded this, 2 trucks? Because we don't have a lot of things on bond. Would that be more beneficial for the
But
town?
we do have a lot of things on
We
bond.
do have.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
You
I didn't know, but
Yeah, we
usually
got
that's more
more coming
beneficial
up.
if we bond something
Yeah.
for the town.
Probably
lease.
not.
The lease is
Probably
shorter.
not in this
Okay,
case.
Lisa's short, okay.
Shorter.
I'm not a financial guru, so.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Wasn't the question asked last time, there were some bonds coming off?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
Well, we got, all the energy projects are gonna eventually be bonded, plus the sewer pump stations, all that has to all be bonded.
okay. So it'd be more beneficial to do a lease purchase then?
Well, for starters, it would be, but if you're doing the bonding, it may make sense to tie this in if the rates are correct at that point in time.
Maybe, it depends on how much, how
Right,
big a figure, but
exactly.
you're also talking
Because there's no,
the
this way is
eventual
no.
water line
Right.
and sewer going up to the hospital, which will also have to be bonded, so.
That doesn't have to be decided tonight, but it is something
No,
to
but
keep
it
in
is
the
a
back of our
future.
minds.
It's gonna go up.
Bear in mind, I mean, water supply is important. We spent the whole Sunday afternoon flushing the geo wells up at the middle school, because there's no hydrants up there. We put out about 22,000 gallons of water to flush all of them. We had to flush them 6 times for the contractor, so anything we can do to increase our water supply is a major benefit in this town.
Oh, is there any other discussion, any other questions? Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? In the majority? So ordered.
You don't wanna show hands, it's just.
Well, you can do a show of hands.
Okay.
I thought I heard just eyes, but okay, show of hands.
It's all eyes, I think.
It's all eyes.
Mhm.
When do we
Yeah, it
send,
is.
do we send it to a town meeting, when do we?
Yeah, when's the town meeting?
That would be determined by the selectmen's office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
but it will be passed on to the selectmen's
Thank you,
office, the selectmen's office.
Now mass exodus.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
We have another meeting.
You can stay, he's ready
We
to
have
go.
time to our regular
They
business.
both have a meeting, so that's why you're all here, because they have a meeting. I've got nothing better to do. Well, actually, it's nice it's not there, so.
Yeah. One of those, yeah. One of their, yeah, preferred, one quarter, I think, this is the lowest, yeah, and the other one's the lowest.
Once you hear the people of the voices, yeah. Well, once you hear the voices, whether or not they know. Well, at that point, we'll have better
Other than that, I would have.
No, you gotta sit in the front row. Front row.
Are you feeling the love? Are you
You
feeling
don't
the
get
love?
away with it.
Come on, you gotta sit in the front row.
I think he gets to sit wherever he wants.
Chairman Frasinelli, Selectman Frasinelli, front and
What do you
center.
need me in the front? Everybody knows I'm doing this.
You're gonna get accustomed to it. Okay, you gotta sit in the front row.
It doesn't matter.
It's the first and the second.
Tony, you want a copy? This is what she sent us.
Transfer staff of family services. And Judy Gardner's here from.
Is the next thing the family services?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's what we're creating now.
What's the request for?
If I'm reading it correctly, it's saying it's gonna cost us $1,000 a month
It's,
to be able to
right,
bill
to
an
be an
extra,
increase in the contracted line item, according to the title of this.
for $1,000 a month, but they're saying the increased billing conservatively will be $3,700 a month?
Yes. That's what they're saying. That's what I'm,
This was for the transfer of $8,000. You guys didn't vote on last time. You wanted her to come down and explain.
Okay.
This be a transfer of $8,000 for this year, just goes through the end of the year.
Correct.
Okay. But we have offsets that should more than.
Revenue offsets, yeah.
Revenue offsets, yeah.
That's why she's not exactly afraid. It's a good news that she just knows.
it's good news.
Does this mean you're gonna have more income next year?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So what it does is it allows us to bill for staff that we haven't been able to bill for in the past. So so far we've brought in about $34,000 back into the general fund. And by the end of the year, just from insurance payments.
So this cost will be offset next year?
Yes. And much of,
Completely offset?
the cost for the medical director should be completely offset.
Wonderful.
All the money you give us, we're working very hard to have it all offset, that you give it to us, and then we earn it back over the year with the insurance income that comes in.
It seems like we've been heading that direction the last few years, right?
Yeah, but then something happened and they weren't getting the billings because they didn't have the director, the
Right,
medical
so
director.
we need, right, so what we've done is, applied to DCF and DPH to have additional licenses, which allows us to bill for the interns and then also to have a prescriber back, which means that we can also bill for having somebody if people need prescriptions, and that we can bill for the prescriber's time as well. In the past, they were paying the prescriber, but they couldn't bill for the time. So the requirement for medical director is required before we get the license, and then once we have the licenses, then I'll be back. For just a little more money, for a prescriber. But the same thing that we would bill for the prescriber, we'd make most of that money back, not all for the prescriber, but it brings us extra clients because it means they can come to see us and not go to CHR in Enfield or go to Williana. Because right now, a lot of the people in town, if they need psychiatric medication, they have to go out of town to get it. So this enables us to serve the residents in town.
I mean, what you're saying is you're gonna be able to provide more services, and it's gonna cost the town less, we're actually gonna make money off it. That's awful.
Can I just ask one question? When
Absolutely.
they say the director must be a psychiatrist, what does that
Yes.
mean in terms of degree credentialing?
So, not only are they a doctor, but they have to be licensed in the state of Connecticut as an adult psychiatrist for the DPH license and as a child and adolescent psychiatrist for DCF, so that means they have extra specialized
So
training.
they'd be an MD plus a PhD normally?
They're not PhDs, they're MDs and they're board
MDs.
certified.
Okay. How do you get somebody to do that for $1,000 a month?
He said he took pity on us because he really did say he felt sorry for us because we're so isolated. So he works out in Sharon mostly, and so he's coming 2 hours a month to fulfill the requirements for DCF and sign all the treatment plans. And he said he's taking pity on us.
He's on a contract,
Yeah, it's a contract.
and what's the length of the contract?
It's a traditional contract that we have our contractors just ongoing until it's terminated with 30 days notice from anybody. But it took us 2 months to find a psychiatrist.
Okay.
It was
But
really-
it could increase in the future.
You get $1,000.
The cost, no, he's not gonna raise his prices to us.
It's somebody you work with before, correct?
I didn't work with him personally, he works with other agencies and, is well known by DCF and, they were fine with it, and DPH is also, that's the Department of Public Health who does the adult side for us.
What would happen if he stopped providing the service for some reason?
We would
had
have to
get
find
some-
another one, or we'd have to suspend the license,
So I assume we try and find another one, what would that cost be
Yeah.
approximately?
about the same.
About the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, psychiatrists are very expensive. And, which is why he's not gonna be the prescriber. Like, he has to see a couple of clients, but it's hard to make money off of that.
And the prescriber has to have what qualifications?
It can be an APRN, an advanced practical registered nurse, again, with psychiatric training, or it could be a psychiatrist. But we're in negotiations right now with Johnson Memorial, who just hired an APRN, to see if we can use that person over at SFS and keep, again, things in town and have a relationship with the hospital.
Excellent.
Because they just had to bring somebody on there, so it's a good partnership for us, for FSO.
Do I
Good
hear you?
idea.
I'm sorry?
I think it's a good idea. I don't see how it's a bad idea for the town. So what do we have to, appropriate $8,000? I make a motion, we appropriate $8,000 for the remainder of the year, for this program.
It was a
Second.
it was a transfer, wasn't it, from something else?
Transfer.
Yeah, from cash fund balance.
You
You
asked.
said it right.
You asked. All right, we have a motion, and it's been seconded to procure the 8,000. Do we have a vote on this? Everyone in favor, raise your hand.
Here's how it votes down.
Everyone in favor? Majority.
Thank you very, very much.
Very confident, eh?
You know, it's always better to be prepared in the mechanics side. Thank you.
Right,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
This should
Make a lot of enemies to wait. What did we do?
No.
No, before that.
I'm
We
Judy
have
Gerber.
the payment
Nice to meet you.
sent.
Get rid of it. Yeah.
It was a simple one.
It is a very simple item, I mean, we can do it without it.
Not the business side, as Tony knows from last meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Come down to our budget meetings.
Every time.
For real.
Support the selectmen. This is a standard letter you send out to all the boards?
Budget.
Yes.
Basically, ours is just a secretary. Our budget is basically just a secretary.
The audit
The
figure is
audit.
40,250.
I'm sorry?
The audit figure is 40,250 for next year.
Somebody had brought the point that, I mean, right now, for the Board of Finance, we pay Lori a fee per year, where most of the other boards, the same job is done on a per meeting basis. Is that something that we should be looking at going back to, given the fact that that's how all the other meetings are done?
The Board of Finance Secretary and the Secretary for the Board of Selectmen have gotten paid the additional, because it involves a little more than the other
Involves time in
simple
the day
meetings,
also.
yeah.
Lots of
Time
data.
and prep, getting the information
So the
out.
Board of Selectmen, like Beth, has a flat salary per year to do that, a flat fee?
Oh, no, she doesn't, no, that's right.
It's just the
I'm sorry, she
Board of
does get the
Finance.
75, it's just the Board of Finance, because it's a lot more detail.
Lori, now that you're leaving, I'll ask the question, do you think it's a fair compensation for what you've been doing?
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah. It's a lot, it's involved, I mean,
There's a
now
lot of
that
behind the
Lisa
scenes,
is-
Laurie, isn't there? There's
Yes.
a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah, you have to be organized, you have to set up the meetings with all the boards to make sure that they're attending, and the gathering of the information, and, working with Lisa has become a lot easier in that part of it.
I imagine it's gonna be more difficult, I don't know who the next one is, but more difficult for the next person to do your job that doesn't have the figures in their office. In other words, you have easy access to the tool,
Well,
I
Erin,
work with the
Erin
figures.
works here too.
Yeah.
So she,
but not in that office.
not in that office, no, but
What she said.
hopefully it won't be too difficult for her. And I know you're gonna help her all you can.
So is that firm that Aaron's gonna take the position?
I approved it, yeah.
They approved it?
Okay.
Very qualified.
And she's in the town hall, so that's
Yep.
good, because this job involves a
Wonderful.
lot of time in the town hall. Good,
She's a good pick.
excellent, thank you.
Lori agreed.
Good. Okay.
Do you have anything to add to this, to
I
this
do not.
letter?
Nope.
So it appears the budget actually went down $2,250.
Well, the supplies
Unless
we need to
want
look at, we wanted to get you some more detail on the supplies, because we cover through our office some of the supplies,
The paper.
because it all is done up there.
So
So,
instead of being here, they're just on the treasurer's office.
correct, and we would reimburse, our budget for what you had in your budget. So, for all the paper, the binders, so we'd like to get that a little more accurate.
What's the more accurate number, Lisa?
It's a good question. I'm gonna have to talk to Aaron and find out,
So when I look at this, our budget for this year was 50,100,
yeah.
that's what we're looking from. Do we know what the auditor is gonna cost next year?
Oh,
40,250.
So that's going down then.
We have a contract.
This year is
Yeah.
only 39,000. It was budgeted the same as the prior year, because we didn't have.
So we
the-
budgeted at
We
42.5.
budgeted at 42, so you're gonna have a savings.
And next year is 40,000, what is it?
40,250.
250. Okay. So we've got 2250 there.
How is it working out with the new auditors?
Good, they're very thorough.
Good for you.
What is the result of that?
Hopefully the end of December. Hopefully soon.
And we're okay for legal notices? That cover it?
Yes.
So-
The only thing you guys pay for are the actual, printing, right, the posting of the public hearing, and everything else is paid for through the selectmen's legal services. For all the town meetings and all that stuff.
So no legal notices yet, because that's all pretty much once we start the budget process.
Yep.
No. So we could do a budget of 48,850 and you'd be okay then?
They may wanna increase the supplies so you can get binders
Okay.
Cause they're expensive, those big binders.
How expensive?
Well, you could probably reuse the ones you had last year if you bring them back.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can update them.
That's kind of what Laura had asked us to do anyway.
Okay. And did any of you hand them
Empty
in?
out last year's and then, I did it.
Did you hand them in?
Binder.
I didn't hand them in, I'm gonna use it again this year.
The year's not done.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get it.
And we have a balance of $400
Just
in
keep the
office
contents,
supplies.
keep the
So we have a
contents.
balance of $400 in office supplies. to use.
Yeah, I'd bump that up to like 600 or 700.
Really?
Now, hold on, we have to give a detailed explanation of it here.
Yeah,
Well, I'll back that up.
You'll back that
I'll
up,
back that up.
okay?
I'll get you the detail behind that.
So you're really
And if
thinking
it's,
67?
if it's lower, then I'll just use the lower number.
How about 550?
Perfect. I'll
Then we
try to
come-
work
then we-
within that.
Then we come in at even 49,000.
Okay, whatever works for you.
And Tony,
550?
Tony, the secretary's at the same rate?
550?
Yeah, and then we're even 49,000. And that way we contributed, probably for the first time, in reducing the selectmen's budget, so.
We appreciate it.
You have to, because somebody else is gonna come in high, you know that.
Happens. We'll see.
You okay with that? You okay with that, Jim? You okay with that?
I'm
Sure.
fine.
I don't want you seeing afterwards, you didn't agree with it.
I'll quiet down. No, I agree with it.
So we're gonna go with the secretary at 4,200, legal and public notice 3,000, audit is $40,250, office supplies 550,
Yep, and
for a
everybody's
total
gonna,
of 49,000.
yeah, and everybody's gonna bring their notebooks back.
Yeah, make it bring the notebook.
Or you'll get it all.
I don't know what you're gonna do there.
We're doing in the budget.
Better check on Eddie.
I'll give you
He's got
mine.
his.
I think we can buy one for you, Dave.
Yeah, good, huh? Got a vote on it?
Yes.
I think we're gonna have to table the Board of Ed, or do you want, or does the board feel that we can do it without them here?
Yeah, I'm gonna move that we approve the budget that Lori pointed out there,
Okay,
total $49,000.
Okay.
and is there a
49?
second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote, raise hands for approve. Okay, unanimous. And she'll go to Laurie like this, Lisa like this.
Ed, we miss you up there.
You guys doing great.
Here's luck,
I told you wouldn't miss me.
No, we do miss you.
we do, miss you.
Jane will be calling you, I'm sure.
Anyone you can call me.
Now, my next question stands, can we do the Board of Ed without them here?
Well, I think it would just be part of their budget. They
Yeah,
just
I'm
need
looking
you
at
to
that.
approve
I
the
don't-
lease purchase.
I don't understand why we have it. Because it seems like they're putting it into their budget.
That's,
Right, but the last lease purchase we did for them, the lease purchase is in the town's name, and they make the payment. So I think we have to do it the same way, because I'm not sure they can finance like that. They can enter an operating lease, but they can't enter into a multi-year contract, because if their budget's not approved. I'm not sure how that works. But I think that's
What are
why
we talking about, Lisa, in this
we're
part?
talking about
the
the phone
lease
system
purchase for the
school.
Board of Ed.
Correct,
Right.
Lisa? We're talking about the phone system for the school,
Right,
the new phone system, because the one that they're using now is going
Is
to be
obsolete.
outdated by June of this coming year.
correct.
So it's kind of we don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, and they're looking, instead of trying to budget the whole 130 in their next budget, they wanna just have a lease payment that they would budget for 5 years.
And the choice is up to us whether or not they do the loan or the.
Yeah, like I said, the town has to enter the lease purchase. And then what ends up happening is the one that we're currently in, I actually get the lease payment, we make the payment and the Board of Ed reimburses us. So
Okay,
they put it in their budget as their debt service,
okay.
and
And that, and that is instead of doing the First Niagara loan?
nope, the First Niagara loan is the better one for them, the lower interest rate.
Right,
The 5-year lease buyout is what they got for a price.
okay. So
So they
obviously
were,
you
he
wanna
was
do.
just showing you, yeah, he was just showing you the
Okay.
options he had.
What's the first name?
Yeah. Finance.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's what he's looking to do.
Makes sense.
Isn't this their decision to come to us and say this is what we wanna do?
Well, I thought one of them would be, I thought someone would be here, but I know they had their meeting tonight as well, so.
And it looks like they have time to do this, it doesn't look like it has to be done tonight, am I correct on that?
Right,
I move we table it to the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to put in the budget for next year, so I mean,
mhm.
I think that's kinda almost
Well,
a
I think the
decision.
key is to get the figure locked in, so then they can ready to go ahead with the process. Start the process, cause it's gonna be, there's a lot of phones and they have to get switches. So I
Is there
think their
a huge
idea
time
is,
element to get this?
they chose the arrears payment, which means we would make the payment next year. So I think they wanna get the ball rolling.
I assume they got more than one quote, they put an
Yeah.
RFP out for it.
Oh, yeah, for the phone system?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the back.
Oh, okay.
They listed their, they didn't put the 3 prices, but they put the 3 vendors.
Retail, Cisco, and
Okay.
Carousel.
How much money did we put in the capital fund last month?
I already
enough.
asked that question, I
Not
didn't know
enough
it.
for that,
What's that?
not enough for that phone, 37,000.
A couple of years from now, they could have handled it, but not yet.
Jane, I got a motion on the floor to table this until someone from the Board of Finance. can
Yes,
be
there
here.
is a motion that we table this until next Board of Finance meeting. Is there a second to that motion?
Yes, I second it, but we wanna have somebody here from,
Alright, I'll get
I agree.
Sam.
at least
Sam
Sam.
or Pat.
Well, they even say right in there, we recommend discussing these alternatives with the Board of Finance, to also assess possibly the finance costs. So, get somebody here to discuss it.
Well, I think that means if you guys decide you wanna just give them 130 and not
Yeah,
finance it, then go ahead,
Sure, right.
they'll take it. You can
Ask
discuss
them if they
that.
have it left over this year.
Well, a motion is on the table, been seconded that we table this.
It hasn't been
Any
seconded.
discussion for that? Please vote. Raise your hands. No?
Nice, Pat, sorry about that.
I vote no.
You voted no, okay. But it's still unanimous. It's still,
Still,
voting,
right, no.
yes. Not unanimous, but yes.
Put it at the table.
That we're tabling it till next
Table
meeting.
till next meeting.
And I know they have their Board of Education meeting on a Monday night, do they not?
Yes, they had a meeting tonight.
They're gonna have one.
So is there a
6:30.
possibility that there's a conflict our next meeting as well?
The next meeting is Monday, January 4th.
When's the next one after that?
What, the next one after that is February, no, March 2nd. February is awesome.
Us or them, we don't have.
We have one January 4th, and then we have one March 2nd.
That's the question I had. The other two dates there, February 17 and 24 advertised.
That's
public
just
budget
for,
area, and the Board of Ed selectmen submit their budgets. We don't meet for that at all.
did everybody have a copy of the agenda for the meetings for next year?
No, when I need it.
Do you have an extra one, Heather? Do you have an extra one?
I always have it.
I think you gave us one last time.
I don't know if you emailed it to us or not, but.
Yes, I did. I gave it out at the last meeting.
I only have 2 from before, so okay, one more.
You go a little efficient here with 60 papers or something.
I'll put them in the binder.
No, this next meeting, they're no, regular meeting. We did Gary on a regular meeting.
The next Board of Ed is the 11th of January, so it should be.
So they should be-
Oh, good, so they'll be here, they can be here the 4th.
No, let Sam know right now.
Okay.
submit them to the town clerk's office.
Why are we going March 2nd as a Wednesday right off the bat instead of doing a Monday?
Because that's the first, the first meeting of the month. Because there's nothing in February, so rather than waiting and going until March 7th, I figured
Isn't it February
I could make
29th?
sure everybody has the budgets to review them in two meetings. Did you have a calendar?
Could you have March February off?
Will we accept the calendar that Lori provided to us? To be presented to the town clerk.
Say, so we start twice a week, starting in March.
March 2nd.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor that we accept the calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded? All those approve? Just say aye. Approve?
Yep, aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Okay, it is approved.
There's no additional transfers.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
He just hasn't done the swing thing
Yeah. I know, no transfers, I cannot believe it.
yet. Early in the year, too.
Yeah, it is early, yeah.
How are things going with the insurance fund?
Great,
Are they?
yeah.
Are they
That'll be the
done?
next funding policy we discuss.
Is there any indication of what they're looking to do this year yet, or?
We're having a meeting, we just scheduled that, I think, for December 16th or 17th, I think. So, to get what they're potentially looking at.
Okay, is there any new business? Is there any old business?
Yeah, there's some old business.
There is.
I think this is Lori's last meeting.
Yes, it is.
You're gonna be sadly missed.
Yes, you are.
Thanks for being good to us and doing a great job.
Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you.
And you are gonna be,
Thank you. I'm still here.
you're still gonna be around here.
Yeah, but unlike Ed, you're not gonna show up.
She might have
And I don't
questions.
blame you, okay?
We're gonna count on Ed to
Good
show
reason
up.
to be at home.
We're gonna count on Ed to show up.
Lori and I agreed when the process really starts, we're gonna sit back and heckle.
I'm gonna call it bad. I'm going.
The good one
What they're
tonight.
doing now? Actually, I'll be on vacation.
What you do is you put it on live on TV, you all set.
And I don't have to worry about the scheduling, or my grandchildren will have plenty of time now, so.
Yep.
You know, that is true, Ed.
Yep.
That is true.
Me too.
That is true. Mine are all grown up now.
No,
Anyway, do I have a motion for an adjournment?
Motion we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I close.